So Eddie, you got back to Brooklyn, New York, and at this point for you, it's about a month later. It's September 8th, 1988, and on this particular morning, you set out to Brighton Beach to continue this new activity that you do in the morning before going into work.
I wouldn't say it's new.
Is it new since getting back, or was it something he did before?
I think this is something he does regularly.
Okay. What kind of car would Eddie have, by the way? I don't think we ever talked about that.
He doesn't have a car.
So how does he get to Brighton Beach?
A bus, or he walks.
Okay. When you get to Brighton Beach on this particular morning, and you are running along the shoreline, and it's still not light out yet, but the sun is starting to crest out over the horizon, and you stop for a moment, and you look out to sea, or you look out at the water that would lead to the Atlantic Ocean. After you run along the shoreline and you watch the sun come up over the horizon, you stop into a nearby McDonald's to use the bathroom to kind of freshen yourself up a little bit, take some paper towels to wipe the sweat off of your brow, and you stop and you look in the mirror, and you see a reflection, and in that moment you have a flashback to Kansas, because we didn't address it then, but we're going to address it now. You see yourself standing in the changing room in Griff's cowpoke, removing your shirt to put on the all-American flag shirt that you had acquired, and you think of all the scars that are all along your body. Scars that you don't really have an explanation as to how they got there. You shake your head, not really trying to think too hard on the scars, because it's been a source of confusion and consternation at different times in your life, but it's also something that you've just sort of accepted. But there is vague memories of pain associated when you think too hard about the scars. So in that particular moment, you shake your head, leave the restroom in the McDonald's, and you head back along Brighton Beach, and you keep running. And because this is something that you have been focusing on more frequently lately, I want you to roll your... which skill would you want to improve doing this? Would this be dexterity?
Yeah, we're going to be improving dexterity.
Give me a dexterity ×5 roll, please.
Oh, I crit succeeded,
Oh.
which is not what you want to do.
No, it's not. And it's a 1 on top of that.
At a 1 under 60.
Holy shit. But see, I kind of want to reward that, though, in some way. Oh, shit. You know what I'm going to have you do instead? Roll me, no, don't roll me. Add 4 to your athletics.
Okay. That's fine. I'll take it.
As you pick up your pace along the beach, trying to suppress any other memories of the scars that kind of gnaw at the edges of your consciousness, you start running faster. The sand's uneven, but you're able to make a good pace. And you reach a point where you walk up on the boardwalk, and there's a bus stop near you. And you hop on the bus, and you head to work. And you just have a normal day at work. You somehow have managed to make a dent in all the casework that the VA has thrown at you, but you know it's not going to last long, given the terrible management of the VA, and your boss is not really giving a shit about all that. But all in all, it's just another day amongst many. And so the next day, you switch it up a little bit. Instead of running along Brighton Beach, you go to Coney Island instead, and run along the boardwalk there amongst there's a fairground there, right? Or like roller coasters or a theme park, if I recall.
Yeah, it's all along the boardwalk.
So, wanting a change of pace, you run down the boardwalk. It's early in the morning. There's nobody there, or hardly anybody there. You pass a homeless guy sitting under an umbrella on one particular side. Give me another Dex ×5 roll.
I gotta run along the Belt Parkway. I think there's like a long strip of seaside walkways.
Roll me another Dex ×5, because you get to do it twice, if you recall, with the skill or stat increase.
Are you fucking kidding me? First I got a 1, then I got a 2, under 60, You gotta be fucking
Yeah,
kidding me.
dude.
I need these rolls during the session, not now.
You rolled a 1 on your stealth roll, man. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, no, you keep running. But also as you're running, there's this sensation inside of your mind that you're running for your own sake, but also you're running from something else, but you can't quite put into words in your mind what you're running from. But eventually you loop back around and you catch a bus and you head into work. And many of your days during the week play out this way in the morning. You get out and you run along Brighton Beach, you run on the docks at Coney Island. You just run. It's good exercise, it's good cardio. It feels good. Does he think about Kansas at all?
Yeah, I think the image of that fucking monster in the bathtub with that scalped child is haunting him. I think it reminds him a bit too much of some of the horrors he saw during the war. And he's just trying to get it out of his mind.
By running from it.
The monotony of work definitely helps, but it's just sticking with him.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it's hard to shake the image of a crazy-eyed man sitting in a bathtub, completely naked, holding the scalp of his child in his hands, chewing on the hair before looking in your direction and transforming into a canine-esque creature that stinks of rotting flesh and gore and blood, and then it just bursts through a wall and it's there in front of you. It's hard to shake from your mind. Give me a PAL times 5 roll, actually.
5 under 55.
For the briefest moments, as your mind is flickering between these images from Kansas and the scars on your body, you remember standing on the shoreline, a shoreline, somewhere, and looking up into the sky. And you think you see a plane passing overhead, but then you think, nah, that doesn't seem right. Whatever that may have been, it quickly fades away, and the monotony of work resumes its normal burrowing into your brain. It's a few days later, and Eddie is sitting in his cubicle at the Brooklyn VA Medical Center, and you are trying to work on your caseload. The sound of a television out nearby was just white noise. It was a drone in the background. But something does catch your attention, and you scoot out of your cubicle and you look up at the TV. There's a news report, it's local, from the local news, describing another homeless person being murdered in Coney Island. How does Eddie feel about what he is seeing on the television right now?
Eddie looks at it and feels disgust towards the city, towards the mayor. Like, this violence never ends. The city's never getting better. Drugs rampant through everywhere, people dying on the streets. This shithole never changes.
Yeah, especially given that it's the time of the crack epidemic. It is the 80s.
Thank you, CIA.
Yeah. So, the TV news report is describing how the cause of death is similar to an incident that occurred back in February of this year. And yeah, there's man on the street type of interviews talking about crime being rampant in the city, drugs being everywhere, police being stretched too thin. It transfixes you to a degree. It transfixes you to such a degree that you don't realize that there's a voice that is trying to speak to you, and it's not until that voice says, "Hey, Eddie!"
What?
And you turn. And it's your old buddy Jonah Washington, Sergeant Jonah Washington.
Hey, Jonah. Sorry, I was just watching the news. I was a bit
horrible,
focused.
Right? Just horrible.
Yeah.
And he stands there, turns and looks at the TV. Can you believe that shit? And he crooks a thumb and points at the screen.
Feels like every other month something fucking horrible like this happens.
Yeah. But hey, I came by. I wanted to see if you wanted to grab lunch if you're available right now. And you look at your watch, and it's about 11:30.
Yeah, I'd go for some food.
All right.
What are you feeling?
I don't know. I know last time I picked and you bought, so how about I buy, you fly, or something like that. What are you feeling?
I'll hop on my back and I'll start to flap.
All right. You stop by the cubicle of your other coworker. This is the same coworker who wanted to try and catch a ball game with you before you went to Kansas. You let him know that you're stepping out for lunch with an old buddy, and that you'd be back in a little bit. And he says that's fine, sure. He'll keep an eye out in case anybody comes looking for you. Doubts that that'll happen. Jonah Washington is 62 years old. He's African American, 5'7". You know that back in the day that he was quite built for his stature and that he could throw down with any man who would come up to him and looked at him sideways. So the two of you walk out of the Brooklyn VA Medical Center. He walks you over to his gray-colored Ford Crown Victoria in the parking lot. It's a little bit of a walk. And you walk to the passenger seat, get in. He walks to the driver's seat, gets in, starts the ignition. And he turns to you as he's backing out of the parking space and says, "So, how have things been?"
They've been, turbulent.
Turbulent?
I guess.
What do you mean turbulent?
Just, dealing with a lot of stress lately.
All right, I see you. I understand. I get it. Hey, where are we going, by the way? You never told me.
Oh, I didn't? Chinese. Peking taste.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So, stress. What's stressing you out, Eddie? You're too young for stress. Stress is an old man's game.
I don't know. The girlfriend's looking to, try and make things official together, We're talking about getting married, finding a place other than my apartment. It's been a couple other thorns in my side. But I don't know. I don't feel like I'm ready. I feel like there's something blocking me,
I felt the same way coming back from the war way back when. And I made sure to get out when I did, and when I got out, I almost wish I had stayed in, given that the military is the most stable thing for any man to go into. You have a roof over your head, meals whenever you can. I mean, obviously, things were a little bit different for me back then, given discrimination was still a thing. But what are you, 35, 36 now?
36.
You might as well decide and figure it out before it's too late, buddy. She may decide she wants to move on to somebody else. You love her, right?
He pauses for more than he should. Yeah, I do.
Are you sure, Eddie?
You and me, we've done things that we rather not talk about.
Yeah.
I'm always worried that,
That there's a darkness inside you? There's a darkness in all of us, Eddie. It's always there. It's always in us.
I don't want her to get hurt. I've been having these episodes lately where I feel like I black out.
Do you know what causes it?
When I come to, it's just everyone around me. It's just terrified. And I feel, it's scary. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want that to happen to her.
But you're self-aware. That's half the battle right there.
Yeah. You weren't drafted either, right? You enlisted.
I did.
Why'd you do it?
Why? Come on, you know why. My family was poor as shit. Not only that, I don't really need to remind you of how I grew up and where I grew up and how it wasn't exactly things were ideal. So hell yeah, I signed up. I enlisted because while my life here wasn't perfect, I had a roof over my head. I was being fed. Sure, the discipline sucked. The workouts sucked. But I felt like I had a purpose, Isn't that why you joined? To serve? To feel like you had a purpose?
I can't quite remember why.
There's a silence in the car for a few moments as he pulls up to a stoplight, as Jonah pulls up to a stoplight, stops the car, waits for the light to change, and makes a right-hand turn.
How's the married life?
Oh, Betty? Betty's good, man. We're doing real good. We're doing real good. Tobias, he's good. Michelle, she's good. Talking about his son and daughter.
Both in college?
Yeah, no, Michelle just started her first year. Tobias, he started a new job recently. Working down at the docks, actually. Didn't really feel like college was for him, you know. But I told him, I said, son, you are not going into the military. You are not following my path, and he seemed to take that seriously.
Smart kid.
Yeah, he is. He gets that from his mother. Sure as shit ain't from me, you know. Your kid probably sure as shit wouldn't get it from you either, Mr. GED.
Man. Well, I finished mine after service. Kind of hard to go back into a high school after you've seen that stuff.
Yeah. No, I understand. How did Eddie and Jonah meet, by the way, since that wasn't addressed earlier? How would you envision that?
At the VA.
At the
most
VA?
likely.
Okay.
Probably, well, there's a lot of lines you have to sit at, and probably just talk to him on one of them.
Okay, so he was like,
There's a lot of chairs around. People who
was
sit
he
down.
a patient, or in your mind, or was he like a former co-worker?
He's probably a retired worker and just comes around to say hi to people.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the one thing that Eddie likes about Jonah, I would think, is that he grounds Eddie. Does Eddie feel like he can be open with Jonah?
Yeah. I think Eddie feels like he can be more open with Jonah than he can with Deanna.
Okay. So, as he is driving the Crown Victoria down this road, you know, the cityscape of New York passing on either side, eventually you guys pull up to Peking Taste. And you've been to a similar sort of joint like this before. There's a shit ton of them all across the city of New York and Brooklyn and Coney Island, Staten Island, you know, all those areas. Same shit, different city block. And he gets out, you get out, and what does Eddie order?
I think Eddie's boneless spare rib guy. He's getting the boneless spare rib platter with fried rice and an egg roll and a Coke.
Okay. For Jonah's part, he orders himself some pork fried rice. He also gets a Coke for himself. And he gets a set of dumplings. And this place will say there's two sets of 2 chairs and tables, right? Just inside for like a few people to sit in and eat at. And that's what you guys do.
Every Chinese food place I've been to in anywhere in New York always has booths that are just like a couple inches too small, or like they have like horrible back support.
Okay.
It feels like you're squished the entire time.
Okay,
so
that's what we're going to say that is then.
Eddie's just like going to sit down in this place. He's like, God fucking damn it. Seats suck. Food's good though.
It's because you're a tall ass honky. This is perfect for me. I fit right in. And he does just slides right on into the booth, and he slides right on back out while you struggle to get into the other side. And Jonah just sits there just laughing at you because of how shitty the seats are. Look at you.
He's all bulked up, and this guy's just like a raisin.
Yeah. Well, you know he could fuck you up, or he could have fucked you up back in the day, so...
Oh, yeah. He's got the old man strength.
Yep.
He could crush a nail with his bare hands.
Yep. Just that hard, like, tough, been through it sort of shit. I mean, man, he's part of the greatest generation, you know? Like...
He could use his palm as a rasp.
What the hell is a rasp?
It's like a metal tool that you use to shave wood.
Oh, okay. Shit. Learn something new. So the two of you get your food and your drinks, and you sit across from each other. Jonah takes a bite out of one of his dumplings, sets it down, and adjusts his position to, like, trying to get level with you. And he points a finger at you and says, "You gotta marry that girl, man."
You know, I'm saving up
Yeah, I know the VA pays like shit.
Yeah, the apartment too.
Yeah.
At least I don't have a car payment, right?
Hey, I paid my car off. I paid that thing off. That's peanuts, man. That's. Listen, you're gonna regret it if you don't marry her. Do you want to have kids someday, or you just want to just at least just tie the knot? Like, have you even thought about that far ahead? Takes a bite of his pork fried rice.
Jonah gets him to think about kids, and he just starts having a short flashback to what he saw in the villages. Overhead, flying in the helicopters and landing into the horror and seeing the corpses.
Your mind then flashes to Kansas. As you stand there with 3 relatively unknown men who you had only just met that day. And you're standing in the middle of the hallway behind Vince and Harley with this scalped kid sitting in this tub and this thing just charging out of the bathroom at you through the wall. Just it all happened very fast, and the next thing you know, you find yourself firing 2 shots into its corpse after Scott blew its head off. And Jonah's like, "Hey, Eddie, are you there? Come on, man." He's snapping his fingers like
Eddie
in front of you.
Eddie snaps out of it. He's crushed his soda can in his hands.
The fuck were you that just now, my friend?
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I just want to make sure you're okay.
I need a cigarette.
Okay, I'll be here.
And he's gonna get
Filthy
up.
habit, by the way. I don't know why you would even fuck with that.
Shut up.
I'll be here. You stay in sight, though.
I'll be right outside.
All right.
He steps out of the restaurant and goes to stand near a traffic light.
Yeah, you're like at the corner.
Cigarette and his lighter. Lights up, leans on it. He's got his, what month is it?
This is September. It's near the end of September. We're going to say it's September 26th, by the way.
Takes a long puff. Sighs deeply. Stares at the ground. Oh my god. He's just thinking of what fate would await a child born to him. Would they get burned alive, blown to pieces, scalped? Being around me feels like being around the shadow of death. Nothing good comes from being near me.
Give me, real quick, a PAL times 5 roll.
81 over 55.
Okay. So, you stand there at the corner, smoking the cigarette down, and you continue to have these dark thoughts into your mind, and they don't end. They just kind of keep building and coalescing, and you're just lost in thought. And then, for all the world, you're just sucked into this miasma of unending dark thought. And then there's a hand on your shoulder, and Jonah says, "Hey, man, I got tired of waiting. I got a bag for your food and bagged up what you hadn't eaten, and I'd finished. You've been out here a long time. You sure you're all right?"
How long was I out here?
You check your watch. It's been about 10 to 15 minutes. Longer than it would take to burn down one cigarette. Much longer. Jonah says, "Here, man." And Jonah hands you a bag with your bagged up food that you didn't
Big
eat.
yellow smiley face. Thank you.
Yes.
I love New York on the other side.
And he also then hands you another Coke. Bought you another one because, just take it.
Thanks, man.
Come on, let's get you back. Don't. I know. He looks at you with a knowing look. You don't need to explain anything to me. You don't need to explain anything. I understand having to live with your pain. All right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, not a problem. But don't do that shit again, all right?
Eddie looks at Jonah, and he doesn't say it, but he's the closest thing Eddie's had to a father in a very long time. And sometimes it feels like Jonah's the only one in the world who could understand him.
It's an uncertain thought to have, considering that you two come from different backgrounds.
Eddie's sure that they're not all too different.
You guys walk back to his Crown Victoria, both get in, and there's not much more said. as Jonah drives you back to the VA medical center, but you stare out the window at the passing buildings, at the people on the street, the cars parked, the distant view of the Verrazano Narrows Bridge at certain points.
We're driving down the Belt Parkway, and Eddie's looking out at the Atlantic, Gravesend Bay, sparkling waters. Something about those waters deeply calms Eddie. Feels like he can let go a bit, let his mind at ease. Feels like he could sink in.
You remember also in that moment reading a VA case report about a soldier seeking treatment at a private facility somewhere. You don't remember the name where, but using a sensory deprivation tank to essentially calm himself down. Thinking about the water like that, it put your mind at ease more than you were expecting it to. Almost in a meditative state, and before you realize it, you're back at the Brooklyn VA Medical Center, but you're more aware of where you are this time. Thinking about the water was soothing. It centered you. You didn't have to be jerked back to reality. No, you were fully aware and conscious of where you were in that moment, pulling into the VA parking lot. It feels good. You get out of Jonah's car, Jonah gets out with you, and you both walk back up to your cubicle, and Jonah looks at you, pats you on the shoulder, and says, "Seriously, man, talk to somebody. Marry that girl."
I don't like no shrinks.
Yeah, I know, but they're there to help, man. It's okay to ask for help. I know a lot of guys from my time, they couldn't regulate themselves properly, you know? They couldn't keep themselves together. That's not good. It's not good. I'm telling you it's not good. I was there in their position at that point. So it's okay, man. But, it was good to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
Hey, you take it easy, and he punches you on the shoulder.
Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, don't mention it. Don't mention it. And he turns and walks back down the hallway, disappears around the corner where you know the elevators are, and you sit back down at your desk in your cubicle.
Alone again. He whispers it to himself.
And after he whispers that, Eddie, you look at the case reports that are still on your desk, and you grab a folder, and you open it, lean back in your chair, and start reading the contents of it, and you continue on your day. So, it's one particular evening. Does your girlfriend live with you?
Probably sleeps over sometimes.
Okay. We're going to say that this particular night that Deanna Peterson is staying over with you, and you wake up in the middle of the night. You think of a particular memory involving the scars. You dream before waking up, and you dream of your body being filleted, cut open, vivisected almost. And it's a dream that feels particularly lucid, particularly real, because everything that's happening matches up with the scars across your body. But somehow that doesn't feel right. Like, that doesn't feel like what actually happened. What happened to you was, you shrapnel from a grenade going off. That's what you remember. Or is it? But you wake up at some point. You come to because the enemy is laying next to you in bed. And you find that you have a knife in your hand, pressed by Deanna's temple, and a trickle of blood is leaking from her forehead, and I'm going to make a roll real quick. I rolled a 99 on a luck roll. Her eyes shoot awake and sees you on top of her. She looks like she's about to scream. What do you do?
Eddie's just as stunned as she is. And he's completely silent, throws the knife across the room, and tries to get to his feet as fast as possible.
Yeah, she screams either way. Eddie! What the fuck are you doing?
I just...
Get away from me! Get the fuck away from me!
I'm sorry. He just runs out of the fucking apartment.
You start running, a theme that you have been doing a lot more running lately than you had been since you got back from Kansas. You don't even know where you're running. You're just running out into the night, into Brooklyn proper itself. And you run until your lungs hurt. Your legs burn. Your heart's pounding. Eventually, you reach an alleyway, trying to catch your breath. and you scream an animalistic scream as you stop in this alleyway. It's like an L shape, right? Like you ran in one way, you got to like where the joint matches up, and then you kept running, and eventually you can't run anymore, and you come to like one of those running stops before a bench, and you stop, bent over, hands on your knees, catching your breath before you collapse onto the bench, completely exhausted. What's going through his mind right now?
Eddie is horrified, disgusted, angry at himself, guilty. He's completely nauseated, vomits in front of the bench. Feel the pain, his calves, his thighs, his back, his lungs burning. You can feel glass in his feet.
Yeah, you realize you ran out completely barefoot. Your feet are in immense amounts of pain. And there's a pile of, well, it's bile, it's stomach bile, beneath you on the street. Give me an alertness roll.
27 under 62.
As you are just like heaving and looking down at the pile of bile, and you wipe your mouth, and you know, as you're doing that, you turn your head in the same direction that like you're wiping your arm and whatnot, and you look up and you catch a silhouette illuminating behind the rays of a street lamp, and you realize you're over by the pier, and the form is barely perceptible. Roll me a sanity roll, actually. Ooh.
Oh, holy shit. 66 over 55.
Yeah, that's not, well, actually, yeah, you lose one, actually, from helplessness at your situation. You don't know who or what was watching you, or even if anything was watching you. For all you know, you were just imagining it. But what you do know to be real is that you dreamt, and you were awake, but you were holding a knife to your girlfriend's head, man. What else is going through his mind right now?
Eddie feels terror for some reason at the sight of that person. It's some unimaginable terror.
Do you think on it harder to try and remember what you saw?
He looks down at his hands, and somehow there's more blood on them than there was before.
And you realize that was from digging your fingernails into your palms so hard that it cracked the skin a little bit. But again, do you try and focus on what you thought you saw?
No, he doesn't. He jumps into the ocean.
Does that make him feel better?
Probably helps alleviate some of the pain. Helps him clean himself of his sins.
That's fair.
I think he crawls back to the beach and picks the glass out of his feet.
The ocean water and the salt, it stings a little bit, and you sit on the beach picking bits of glass out of your feet from having run in the street earlier. Give me another Pal times 5 roll.
Misspoke earlier, didn't have 55 sanity. At 53.
That's okay.
Jesus.
Oh,
88.
excellent. Exactly what I want to see with you. So, as you are picking glass out of your feet, you look up at the sky. You see yourself again standing on the shoreline somewhere. Was it Korea? Was it Vietnam? Hard to say, really, because you look up in the sky and you see an airplane flying overhead. Then it just disappears. Just vanishes right before your mind. That's familiar. Somehow you're remembering that right now, but you can't remember what happened to your body with all the scars that are running across it. But as you sit there thinking on this, it has to be a memory of some sort, but yet why can't you remember it? But you do remember it. It's confusing. And I need you to make me another sanity roll, actually.
The worst home scene ever. 8 under 52.
Okay. You lose nothing from this, but you can't help but think of that silhouette earlier, and you think that person or thing or shadow or whatever it was. You think it was wearing a suit? Like a white suit? But nah, that can't be right. It's the middle of the night. Had to have been a bum or something, you know? Given your current mental state.
I wouldn't be caught dead in Brooklyn wearing that at night.
We're just going to say that that's what you say out loud, sitting on the beach, picking glass out of your feet, because that just seems like the perfect thing for a madman to say. So, what do you do at this point?
I think Eddie sits on the shoreline for a while and just closes his eyes for a bit.
Do you fall asleep?
Eddie doesn't remember.
That's fair, because at some point you get a soft nudge on your body as you're laying in the sand. And you open your eyes, but then you quickly shut them because there's a flashlight shining in your eyes. And it takes your eyes a moment to adjust. And it's just beginning to turn into morning. And there's a uniformed police officer looking down at you saying, "All right, come on, get up, you bum."
I'm not a bum, you fucking dick.
"Well, why are you sleeping on the beach then? Get up, come on."
Fuck you. Let's just start getting up.
All right, take it easy. Take it easy. Are you all right? Are you okay?
Yeah. I just start leaving and not answering any questions.
The police officer doesn't say anything. He just watches you groggily walk away off the beach onto the streets, barefooted, without any shoes on. Do you turn and look back, or do you just keep walking without looking?
I look back at the shore one more time.
You do. It's calming, it's peaceful, the waves lapping up against the sand. And you do catch sight of the police officer who's just shaking his head at you.
And I just let out a sigh, frown, and try and rush back to my apartment. I'm probably gonna be late for work.
You get back to your apartment. It's unlocked. You walk in, and there's a note that catches your eye on the kitchen table. And you recognize the handwriting even from here because it's Deanna's. And the note says, "Eddie, I know that your time in the war has given you trouble, but you have to talk to somebody. I can't keep waking up like this in the middle of the night. I need at least a week. I'm sorry, sugar." And then it's signed D.
I really fucked up this time. Eddie's gonna hop in the shower and get ready for work.
And you do that, and you kind of put the night's events behind you. Do you wrap up your feet at all with like any bandages or anything, or do you just kind of just let them ride?
No, I'm definitely gonna have to wrap those things up under my socks, or else they're gonna bleed through my shoes.
Yeah, so you spend a few minutes sitting on the toilet, wrapping your feet up, wincing just a little bit, just because, you know, it's so many small cuts, and it's always the small cuts that it can cause the most amount of pain. So once you have wrapped your feet up and you put your socks on,
Probably sprayed some fucking hydrogen peroxide on that shit.
it would hurt like hell. For me, it would hurt like hell. I don't know about you, but yeah. So Eddie just gets ready and just catches the bus and heads to work. Where we find Dr. Kimble, you see a black void. Then there's a flash of light. And you find yourself next to the rodeo grounds again. You see a up-close visage of Spencer Dixon as he briefly transformed. Then it cuts away again to you losing consciousness in the backseat of a car driving at a high speed through a field. And then the next quick flash is of you sitting in the back seat of the vehicle of the Ram Charger in Missouri. You hear gunshots. And then there's a really loud gunshot that goes off. And you hear the voice pulling you out of a deep sleep is Anna Barlow, your most trusted nurse at Rosehill. "Dr. Kimble! Dr. Kimble! Dr. Kimble, you fell asleep again." And you groggily look around, and you had put your head down at your desk.
Mm. Sorry, Anna.
She seems concerned.
Sort of rubbing his face. I'm fine. It just seems to be happening.
It's your
lately.
sister.
What?
She's acting up again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he takes a few deep breaths and gets to his feet, gathers his notebook and briefcase and runs out after her.
As you are swiftly moving down the hallway to your... Is she staying in her own place? Like one of those isolated places?
So she's in, like, because Rose Hill is kind of like 4 main places where it's the main building, a secondary building that's like connected to it, and the underbelly of both of those buildings that's connected, that's like laboratories. And then off in the grounds, there's kind of like an apartment style area where long-term patients stay.
Okay, so that's where she is.
Yeah, she's in the long-term area. There's still nurses there every day. They're still monitored and stuff.
Yeah, so you realize as you are moving down the hallway to the apartment block, I guess we will call it.
It's like through a side exit.
Your face feels a little weird, and you bring your hand up to your face and you realize that there's like a little bit of drool still stuck on your face, and you wipe that out of your crazy facial hair situation as you described it. And Anna's moving with you, ever the loyal, faithful nurse, the best nurse that you have. You're really grateful for her and all that she's done, especially in regards to care for your sister. She works over in that apartment block area. And so you get over there, and there is a male nurse standing outside the door. Anna comes up and says, "Is she still acting out?" "Yeah, still jumping at the walls and raising her hands in the air."
Okay, let's go.
And the male nurse opens the door. It swings open. You walk in, and you see your sister, Vivica. She stops and turns. She has her hands like above her head, her arms above her head. She stops and turns and looks at you and smiles and goes, "Rue, it's good to see you."
Hi, Vivica. Anna tells me that you're having a tough morning.
Yeah. And she points up above a window to the ceiling above it. And she goes, I can't reach the butterflies."
Okay. Maybe they don't want to be reached.
But
How about
why?
We sit down on the bed and have a chat?
And she just kind of like lets her arm fall to her side, and she kind of just has this far off look as you and Anna guide her to her bed and sit her down, and then you sit next to her. How tall is she in comparison to Dr. Kimble?
She's decently tall. She's about 5'11", quite slender. She's got like brown, kind of stringy hair.
Okay.
Just kind of a very faint, pale figure.
Okay. All right. So she's sitting there on the bed. At this point, she's got her hands in her lap, and she's looking down at the floor and kind of like kicking her feet back and forth, just ever so slightly. But why wouldn't they want me to touch them?
Well, I don't really know, Vivica, but sometimes things want space.
At this point, Anna leans in close to your right ear and whispers, "She was apparently yelling, and it was disturbing some of the other folks here, yelling about butterflies." And then she retreats back and stands back towards near the door.
You know, it happens every once in a while that she has kind of more intense breaks with reality. Well, Vivica, have you been taking your medication? Listening to the nurses?
Yeah. You said I need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do.
And you know, when Roger comes and visits, and you know Roger to be her husband.
Yeah. When
Roger comes, he makes sure that I take him too. Why do you ask?
Right.
That?
Just making sure. You know, they say that you were yelling a bit earlier. Sometimes that happens if you don't take your medication.
I was?
Yeah.
I'm kind of envisioning that, like, you're sitting to her right. So she turns and looks to her right at you. And it's not that her eyes are glazed over, but...
There's, like, absence or dissociation there.
Yeah. It's familiar to you. She looks at you and says, sometimes I see them when I sleep, when I dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know... Does it mean something? Should it mean something?
It doesn't have to. Does it feel better to think it does, or it doesn't?
Sometimes, yeah. You recall about a month ago when you got back, pretty much the day after you got back, you returned to work in August. Anna had told you that she had been asking for you, Vivica had been asking for you while you were in Kansas. But of course you weren't there. You were experiencing things of your own. And Anna had told you that she spoke of different things. It wasn't butterflies. It was more along the lines of lots of books, talking about lots of books, lots of different people moving around. And she saw far-off figures that she couldn't reach out to or speak to. And Anna had told you that she thinks she was talking about some kind of a library, but at the time wasn't entirely sure what to make of what she was saying. But then again, can anybody make sense of what's being said?
Yeah. Well, Vivica, I know that you've been a little dysregulated since I was away for a couple days.
Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was last month.
Where did you go?
I had to go and see a patient off in Missouri.
Oh?
Just a consult.
Were they like me?
Sometimes I'm called out. A little different than you, but still needed support.
Oh, okay. That's good. And as she's looking at you, you can see she shakes her head ever so slightly, and her eyes go a little bit wider as Vivica looks at you, and she goes, "Oh, Rufus, was I having another episode again?"
Yeah, a bit of one.
Oh no. Oh, what was I yelling again?
He looks at Anna to make her be the one to relay that news.
Anna kind of awkwardly rubs the back of her neck before looking up to Vivica and says, "Yeah, you were. It was kind of bothering some of the other patients. I know that we're very fortunate that Dr. Kimble has you in his care, and so I that's why I went and got him. Are you all right?"
Well, these episodes are to be expected, Vivica. I mean, it's not a source of shame, obviously. We just want to make sure that you're safe and those around you are safe. And that's all.
No, I understand. I know Roger put me in here because he couldn't handle my episodes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks, you know? It sucks.
But you're here with all the other women in the apartments, and you have a job at our shop. You can go into town when you want. You can come to my home when you want. I know that you're in a difficult situation, especially with Roger, but I hope that you feel safe here and that you feel like you are living a life that is meaningful.
The next question that comes out of Vivica's mouth is one that you have heard before and have answered before, and you don't know if there's a clear answer to it or not, or if there is going to ever be. Well, she says, "Am I ever going to get better?"
I think you have already gotten better, clearly, with the right medication and the right psychotherapy. And, you know, I know it is difficult on the patient end to see, but as a clinician, the amount of knowledge that we have in this field, it's rapidly accumulating. We're learning more and more and more. I try to keep absolutely up to date, and I'm involved with research, as you know, so anything I can do, I do for you and for everyone here. And maybe that means that one day he will be completely typical, or maybe you will just continue to get better and better at managing your symptoms. I don't know, but being helpless about it won't get you anywhere, so we have to hope and we have to work hard.
And with a surprising quickness, she goes in and hugs you.
He just sort of stiff arm pats her on the back and lets her hug him. After like a minute,
It's a tight hug.
She clings. Yeah, after a minute, he sort of tries to redirect. He looks at the walls and sees she has a new painting up. It's like, I haven't seen that one before. What's it of?
Yeah, and the painting is... At first, it doesn't really strike you as anything too out of the ordinary. But the more you look at it, the more it looks like... It's like the tip of a stone structure is sticking out of a sea of sand. It's quite good. It's a little simple, but it's still quite good for what it is. She's definitely gotten better as a painter.
Yeah. That's really good work, Vivica. Do you need more canvases?
That would be great,
paints?
Rue. If that would be so nice. Yes.
Sure, I can get you some. I'll go into town tomorrow and get some things from the store.
And she smiles widely, and this seems to satisfy her, and she just sits there and just is kicking her legs, and yeah, I don't know, I saw it in a dream. Just a desert, and then just a hint of some sort of stone structure just sticking out, like it was buried or something, you know?
I think he just nods and is like, okay, and sort of lets her continue to talk about her paintings. At this point, like, she does a lot of realism, but she also does some surrealist things, so it's not too...
Unusual?
Yeah, he's not really thinking much of it. He's like, oh, she must have, like, seen a book on archaeology or something and dreamed about it.
Yeah, this is one of the more surreal ones that she's done, but it is dated.
Is it very detailed? Is, like, the structure itself, like...
Not really, but it looks like it could just, you know, factoring in your intelligence, it looks like it may be triangle shaped based on the portion that's sticking out from under the sand. But you really...
That's what I was assuming. Yeah, but there's not, like, etchings to, like...
No.
Like, runes or anything. Okay.
Nothing like that. There's no etchings on the structure. It's just a stone, possible triangular shape sticking out of the desert sand.
Mm-hmm. And then you said it was dated?
Yeah, like the day, like she always dates her paintings, like when she completes them,
okay.
Like the day she completes them. This one was 3 days ago, so that would be September 9th, 1988.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to do with Vivica?
No, I think he stays to make sure she's regulated, and, you know, it's nearing her next med dosage, so he waits to make sure he sees her take that, and then will leave, and then talks to her charge nurse for that day and gives some additional instructions about, like, upping her meds for a couple days to see if that helps. And then we'll head back to the main building and start doing the rounds there.
And from there, it's another typical Monday workday for Dr. Rufus Kimble. I want to jump ahead now to September 30th, a Friday. You're in your office. You are having lunch. What would Kimble be eating for lunch?
I have to keep in mind that it's the 80s, because I was going to be like, takeout. But it's the 80s and he's in a tiny-ass town. He made a meatloaf a week ago that he's just been chowing through, so he's got like a big hunk of it with some ketchup, and they still think Coke is good for you. Yeah, he's got a big Coca-Cola as well.
Okay. Yeah, so you're in your office and you're having lunch. You're sitting at your desk and your telephone rings. It's on the left side of your desk. Startles you just a little bit. You weren't expecting it.
Yeah, he finishes chewing coughs like a bit because he almost choked, and then we'll pick up the receiver. Hello?
Hey, old friend, how are you?
It's a voice that you haven't heard in some time. How long has it been since you've spoken to Sidney Gottlieb?
I think they haven't had reason to talk for about a year and a half at this point. They've just both been doing their own thing as Gottlieb kind of goes through his inquiries and
Depositions and court cases.
Kimble, yeah, and exactly. And Kimble, I mean, he's been owner of Rosehill only for a few years, so he's even now still getting the hang of it. So he's been very busy.
Yeah, he's asking how you are.
Mr. Gottlieb, I'm doing quite well. And you?
You. Come on now, Rufus. You don't need to be so formal. For how long we've known each other?
Right. Well, Sydney, I hear that things went well with the trials and all of that, legally speaking.
As well as they can be, yes. That's not why I called, though. Listen, I know you and I have been far removed from the agency now for a while, but I came across something you might be interested in for your narcolepsy.
Oh. I think Gottlieb through the phone hear the rustling of papers as Rufus kind of puts his lunch aside and draws a paper and pen to him. I'm listening.
Do you know of a Dr. Armand Peroff? He's a psychiatrist, like you.
And you do know Dr. Peroff. He's with the Outlook Group, and he provides you with a lot of different resources and research papers to assist you in your work that you do with Outlook. But you didn't know that Sidney knew him. That's news to you.
I have worked with Peroff before, yes.
Oh, wonderful. So you do know him. That is fortuitous. So you already know how to get in contact with him. That's how, by the way. How do you know him?
Research work.
Very good. So listen, he mentioned that there's some sort of, that he and some colleagues of his have been working on a experimental treatment, not as a full-time pursuit, mind you, but it came up in the course of their research. They've apparently found a way to synthesize neuropeptides to create different kinds of serums, and that includes orexin. How wonderful is that?
You know that orexin is
fascinating. Yeah.
the thing that helps. It's basically the thing that your body lacks and is part of the reason why you're narcoleptic, as your neurological condition.
That's fascinating. Do you know how far along they are in this research?
I don't know. I'm surprised he's never mentioned it to you before.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised myself, but maybe it's just slipped his mind. We don't talk regularly, so.
You realize as you're holding the phone up to your ear, and you realize now as you look down at your desk in a subconscious move, you've been flipping through your Rolodex on the right side of your desk, and you are now staring at Dr. Peroff's number. It's funny how that sort of thing works.
Well, how are things going, by the way? Besides that, how's Vivica? Is she doing okay?
She's better. Not
great.
trying to kill herself every moment of the day, which is a relief.
Understandable.
So she's now in the apartment living quarters, which is quite good.
Oh, wonderful. That really is great to hear that she's doing better.
And you know that just you're thinking about this sitting here, even after all these years, it's still strange to you just how nice Sidney Gottlieb is, given his history.
Yeah.
And you having worked alongside him, and given all the suspicions relating to the death of Frank Olson, your mind comes to the fact that he's had to go to different depositions within the last several years. because of his involvement
Yeah.
and his knowledge of research into certain areas of CIA programs.
I think Kimble is very able to disassociate people's actions in their work versus who they are as people. Now, me, Caius, that's stupid. But Kimble feels that way.
No, that's fine.
Kimble feels like there's a distinction there. So when he performs, like when he worked in lobotomobiles, he felt no moral qualms about that. And then when he learned later, oh, that's not a good practice, he was like, okay, cool. Then I just update my practice. There was no like feeling of guilt. It was just, well, we did the wrong thing and now we're doing the right thing. And, he's had, with his work with Gottlieb, obviously, Gottlieb is very much utilized scientists from the Nazi scientists. And Kimble also had interactions with them and was of the same mind of Gottlieb, of they have good minds and they're doing work for us, so it doesn't matter what they believe or what they did. Again, fuck Kimble for this, but just to explain his logic, he is incredibly unfazed. I think he almost finds it fascinating that Gottlieb is able to be so charismatic, and naturally so. Like he is just kind of naturally liked in that way, in a way that Kimble hasn't necessarily ever been able to master.
Are you considering calling Dr. Perov?
Yes, he pulled that out of his Rolodex as he was talking to Gottlieb.
Yeah, and Sydney was talking about some sort of program that he had done recently over in Africa. That he's kind of gotten pretty big into philanthropy.
Yeah.
In his twilight years, helping out the needy and the poor wherever he can. Quite a contrast from his days of engineering plans to murder U.S. government enemies in foreign countries.
Yeah.
So he was going on about this, and you were...
Plans and enactment
Yes,
of that.
plans and enactment, yes. You had kind of tuned him out as you were thinking about all that. Your mind kind of comes back to the present, and you hear Sydney say,
Are you still there, friend?
Yes, sorry, I was trying to find... What's this dude's name? Sorry, one more time. Perot?
Armand Perov.
Sorry, I was trying to find Perov in my Rolodex, and I got a little distracted. But that's great what you've done in Africa. Do you have plans to do anything more in future, or do you think you'll kind of stay in the States for now?
I'm gonna divide my time as best as I can between all of it. It's
He sighs, and his voice doesn't sound as chipper anymore, and he says,
gotta make up for things, you know?
I suppose.
The decision's made.
Well, if you hear more about research, or you yourself have lines of inquiry that you'd like me to research or put me in contact with, obviously you'd have my number. You know where to reach me. My laboratories are available. We're doing some tests on some new medications, so always available to do more.
That sounds great. That sounds great, old friend. Like I said, I just wanted to pass that on to you, in case you were. I remember, days where I would just turn around and you were just asleep at your desk, and I wanted to just, return the favor, try to find a way to help you manage it. So hopefully, maybe
I appreciate
will
that.
help you out, and you're welcome. I really do gotta get going though. I just wanted to, like I said, call you real quick, catch up a little bit. I know it's been a bit since we last talked, but
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
I am. And give your best to your wife for me.
I will tell her
And
that
have a
you
good
said
day.
hello.
Thank you. All right, nice to talk to you.
Take it easy now.
You too.
and he hangs up. So,
Kimble's gonna wait until he gets home, and we'll call the number from his home phone.
So in the evening?
Yes.
Okay.
So like a couple hours later. Or sorry, this was lunchtime?
Yes.
Yeah, so probably about 7. The sky is like tinged with purple as he makes the phone call, sort of sitting in his very large, very poofy recliner.
It is a nice view you see looking out your window as you make the phone call. And the thing with the number that you have for Dr. Armand Perov is that you know this number to be his office number, but you also know that the man, from your experience in dealing with him,
doesn't fucking sleep, yeah.
Correct. After a few rings, it picks up and he answers, and there's just an ever so slight Russian accent that I'm not going to try and do because I can't do a Russian accent, so pretend it's a Russian accent. And he says,
Hello, Dr. Perov speaking.
Perov, this is Kimble.
Dr. Kimble. Good to hear from you.
How are you?
I'm good. How can I help you?
I got a call from Gottlieb this afternoon. He apprised me of some research that you're doing on narcolepsy, and I'm very curious about that. If you have anything that is able to be shared.
Right. Sorry, there's just been so much going on that don't take this the wrong way. I forgot you're a narcoleptic. It's not something that I think about, okay?
That's okay. I don't take it anyhow. I would prefer people forget.
I'm sure you would also like to forget that you have it too, but such is the fascinating aspects of the human mind after all. Yes, we kind of had a breakthrough. We're always having breakthroughs, and your work with the human mind has contributed to a lot of these different things. I mean, we're always looking for test subjects. You want to be a test subject?
How far along are you in researching it?
Well, right now we have 2 doses, 2 rather large doses. You would have to inject it. That is the only surefire way that we have been able. We've had 1 test, is so far inconclusive, but I know how disruptive your condition can be. So, if you're willing to take a chance and help in the name of science, I do have another dose. Unfortunately, you would have to come down here and pick it up.
And you know that the Outlook
Right.
Group facility is in Bounton, Maryland, which is a little bit closer to DC, but it's also somewhat in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It would be about a 30-minute drive for you.
Mm-hmm.
And to be clear, you have never gone into the Outlook Group facility itself. You met Dr. Perov at a conference, and he really liked your work and really liked what you had. He read some of your papers on that you had done, and that's how you got hired on in this side gig, so to speak. So you know where the facility is. You've never actually been there, though.
Your inconclusive test. Listen, I know what some of your work can do. Let's not forget the case back a decade ago. I just want to be sure that this is... I'm not risking becoming, I don't know, a jelly person or something.
He sighs.
You've been working with me for how long on different things?
12 years?
12 years. Yes, some of it is strange, some of it is highly experimental. Has it ever really been dangerous, though?
Sometimes for the patients, for the test subjects.
Admittedly, yes, but they knew what they signed up for.
Right. So all I'm asking is just to be aware of what I'm signing up for. I'm assuming most of it you can't tell me over the phone, so...
You are absolutely correct.
Okay. Then I will come in and we'll talk about it.
Are you able to come tonight?
He sounds a little excited to have somebody else test this experimental serum out.
Yeah. Kimble doesn't necessarily fully trust this guy.
You're happy taking his money, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, and he's happy doing his research projects. It's just that he's kind of an interesting figure with a lot less care about individuals than he would like to portray.
His association with the Outlook Group's lead project guy, one of the founders, Dr. Albert Yerho, definitely a controversial figure in your field.
Yeah.
And definitely a fringe figure You've never actually met that man, but you know that he and Dr. Perov work closely together.
Yeah. I think Kimble takes a moment to think, says I can be there in an hour to talk. Maybe to take it, but we're talking first.
Okay, sure. I will say, just so you know, you wouldn't need to be stuck here to take it. You would be able to take it home with you. I've given you enough research papers over the years that I can trust you. Your insights and knowledge has always been valuable. Nothing changes in this arrangement. All you need to do is just report any sort of side effects, symptoms, anything like that, and to let me know. But we can talk more when you get here. Sound good?
Okay. Yep.
Alright, I will see you in an hour then.
Yep, see you. And he clicks the phone. It just sort of sits. I mean, he's got an hour, so he takes 10 minutes to sort of center himself. Because Perot's a good scientist, he's not a good person, though. Which is everybody in Kimble's circle, obviously. It's just that usually they're not dealing with his body, so.
Right.
So he takes a bit to center himself, and then he will head out. He drives pretty carefully. He usually... He has like a limited license. He's technically allowed to drive, so he will get there probably on time. He goes pretty slow.
So, the Outlook Group facility in Bounton, it's located at the end of a cul-de-sac. And this area it's suburban. It's like an incorporated sort of like town. It's only one story. Huge facility. Lots of trees and bushes. Facility, as you are driving up and slowing down, you can see now that it's surrounded by a fence. You think it's got to be at least 12 feet tall. Looks like it's made of stone. Give me an alertness roll, actually.
That's a failure at a 54.
You
over
are not
30.
alert to what I would have told you, so... But as you are...
Check that. I get to check that.
You do get to check
box,
that.
though,
You do.
Dude.
So, there's a security gate. You pull up, and there are two small booths, one on either side, and there is a guard in each of them. And you can see the telltale sign of a weapon strap hanging around their shoulders.
I do want to paint how funny this is, because Kimble, I mentioned this at the beginning of Stonefall, but he drives a lavender Volkswagen Beetle. So he's just kind of like inching, and he's going slow, like way below the speed limit, if not like, yeah, it's like either at or 5 below. So they just see him in the distance, just slowly coming down, and then he pulls up to the guard station, and he's cramped in his own fucking car with his hand sort of T-Rexed in front of him to get to the wheel.
The guard slides the window open, and the wall in front of him is waist high, so you can't see what kind of weapon he has, but you know that he has some sort of weapon. You also see from right where you are that there are little holes in the booths that look like they could be about a little bit above waist height. You being smart enough, you realize that these may be some sort of holes in which the guns could be pointed out through. The guards, they're dressed in all black, and he says, "Please state your business."
Dr. Kimble here for Dr. Perot.
1 second, and he slides the window closed, and you see him reach for a telephone that's mounted inside, and he picks it up. Obviously, you can't hear the words that are said. There's like a brief 10-second conversation, hangs the phone up, slides the window back open, and he says, "All right, going through. You're expected in the lobby." The gate slides open. It's like a metal barred gate, moves over to the right, and the guard says, "Have a good night, sir," before sliding the window closed.
Yeah, he will take his foot off the brake and slow it like 2 miles an hour inch forward.
There is a parking lot. Not a lot of cars here. I mean, obviously, workday is done. There's some cars here, but you pull up to the front of the building, and it's a fairly modern looking building. You can see like big glass doors, and you can see that there looks to be some sort of like reception desk inside, and you can even see from here at this distance, you can see Dr. Perov standing in the lobby. You park, you unfold yourself out of the Volkswagen Beetle, standing up to your full glorious height. and you stride in, and you can see that Dr. Perov has a small metallic briefcase that he's holding, probably about 5 by 5, and he smiles upon seeing you. You do see some other guards similarly dressed to the ones in the booths standing in the lobby. You can see what weapon they're wielding that's on their shoulder strap. It looks like it's an H&K MP5 submachine gun. There's 2 of them, and they're both armed that way. Dr. Perov approaches you. He switches the briefcase from his right to his left hand, and he says, Dr. Rufus Kimble, it is good to see you again, and he's got his arm stuck out for you to shake.
Yeah, I give him a firm handshake that vibrates his entire tiny little shit fest of a scientist.
Yep, that sounds about right. He puts his arm on your shoulder and guides you back outside, looking over his shoulder at the guards. He walks you back out to the Beetle and sets the case on the car, on the hood of the car, and he pulls out some paperwork from within his lab coat, and he says, now, this is an NDA that you do need to sign. I hope you understand.
Sure. He signs that easily. That's no problem. I mean, obviously he looks over it, makes sure that's all he signed.
Yeah. You take your time, you go through it. You know, it's the standard normal legalese, like you could be prosecuted or such and such nonsense that is inside of an NDA of this type of nature. And Dr. Perov takes the case, flips it around, and opens it up. And inside you see a medical syringe and a little vial. All this is inset into like foam padding, right? And the vial, there is like a dull, faded yellow liquid from what you can see. It's not like bright. So you see this, and he says, now, you don't need to do a big dosage. You just need to do just 5 milliliters right into and he taps his arm, right into your arm. As crude as this sounds, think of it like shooting heroin.
Okay. So directly into the veins, not the muscle.
Correct. You have this. This is yours to use. If you experience any sort of violent effects or anything that makes you seriously ill, discontinue use immediately. Take note of it. Let me know. He leans in a little bit closer. Hopefully this doesn't hospitalize you. I don't think it will. It didn't with the other guy.
What happened to
That's the thing. Nothing.
Gentleman? You said that there was
nothing. I mean,
nothing. Okay.
He still had his episodes, but they were less. But it wasn't like it completely went away. I mean, that's the goal. We wanted to completely negate it as much as we can. That's why we test, as you know.
Right. How does this work? Like, what are you? And we can skip past this. We don't have to actually get into the science. But Kimble basically just wants to know how they've come up with this and how it works, essentially.
Give me a human roll.
That's a 3 under 72.
Yeah, he says, so essentially it is neuropeptides that, well, he kind of licks his lips a little bit. I wouldn't worry about how it came to be, but just know that it came to be. And the idea is to...
I would love to know how it came to be. If you're phrasing it like, I'm gonna human that again. Can I human that again?
No, he's definitely trying. You can tell with the role that he's dancing around how to say this, and it's not an easy thing for him to say. He's being evasive. Listen, if it's gonna help you potentially, do you really want to know how?
Yes. Yeah. I would like to know. I've signed the NDA. You know me. I'm not going to try and replicate your work. I have enough research on my own, which we need to talk about that actually at a later date.
So, some experiments, as you know, don't always work out.
Right.
I'm sure I don't need to explain further than that.
What is he insinuating?
With your intelligence being as high as it is, experiments go wrong, especially with human test subjects. Yeah. You can insinuate from that people have died during experiments.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he knows that.
That's what he's insinuating.
Yeah. So he's insinuating that this came up because they were trying something else that caused somebody to die.
Yeah. And, if you want to draw your own conclusions as to...
What were you initially researching? Was it...
Effects on the human mind, Dr. Kimble. Sometimes...
Trying to keep people awake and see what that would do?
Try to see, stress tests. I can't go into all the details with you. You know
No,
that
I
there's
mean-
some things I can't even tell you about, and you know a great deal about what we do here already.
Right. Speaking of which, that the Sanderson girl, back at Rose Hill, she's not responding very well to that new medication that we're trying.
Okay.
Just talking a lot about ancient languages and things she doesn't know about. So I don't know if I should discontinue or just see where it goes, because she seems to be learning more through it. I don't understand how, but...
Maybe lower the dosage a little bit.
Okay.
She could be experiencing too much too quickly.
Alright. I'll keep track of that then.
See to it. Just, like I said, it's an experiment, it's a test. Be careful, as always, with everything that
Right.
we do. And he closes the case back up and slides it back around, picks it up, hands it to you.
He'll put it in the passenger seat and, we'll
He'll shake your
say their
hand.
goodbyes now. Yeah. When he gets home, I think he's going to sleep that night, and then the next day it's the weekend. He will take half the recommended dosage. So he's going to take 2.5 instead of 5, because he just wants to see...
Oh,
'cause he said 5,
shit, I
but-
misunderstood. Yeah, 5 milliliters. I
No,
was like,
not-
half the
yeah.
bottle, Jesus. All right.
No. He said 5 milliliters, so he's going to try at first with 2.5, wait a few hours to see what happens,
Okay.
and then he might consider taking the rest of the dose, but he wants to just make sure that he doesn't have, like, an anaphylactic reaction or something worse.
Yeah, so it's October 1st at this point. You are sitting in that fluffy padded chair you mentioned. You have the little metallic case open on a little table next to the chair. That's where the phone sat, but you cleared it off. You've got a, like a thick tie to tie around your arm. It's not the first time that you've had to inject something into somebody or yourself for
He's
that
probably
matter.
got, like, actual elastic that they use.
Yeah.
He's not
Oh, no.
gonna do the heroin. He's got the, I don't know what it's called, but, like, yeah, that elastic that they use to get the blood flow down. He's got his fist off the edge of the chair, and he's just kind of pumping his fist a little bit to get the veins nice and popping
Yeah.
before he, does the injection.
Yeah, give me a Pal times 5 roll.
So that is a success. It is 7 under 80.
Okay. So you inject the Orexin concoction into your arm. You sit there for a bit. Nothing happens at first. How long do you want to sit and wait to see if something happens?
He's going to sit and wait, doing nothing for about 20 minutes, just to make sure he doesn't go into some kind of shock. And then after that point, he will start getting up and kind of doing his typical daily routine and just being mindful of how he feels throughout the next few hours.
Okay. You go about your routine. It's a Saturday.
Yeah, he's just cleaning around the house, prepping his meals, kind of going through some patient notes, and he's a bit of a busybody, just trying to keep his mind off of what he's just done.
Right. Yeah. Give me another Pal times 5 roll at minus 20%.
But I will not. That is a 10 under 6.
No, it's strange. You feel like an almost instinctual need to, like, sleep, but you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he feels like a cataplexy episode coming on, and it just doesn't get past that feeling.
No. It's not even necessarily that. It's more of like you can actively feel your mind rejecting what your body wants to do, like the neurological response. Like you can,
Mm-hmm.
it's strange how it feels in your mind. It's like it's almost like when you've taken LSD before, but not exactly the same. But taking half of the dosage seems to be fine.
I think after like 3 hours, he takes the other half.
Okay. Give me another Pal times 5 roll at minus 20.
It's an 18 under 60.
Yeah, so far so good. Sometimes you can feel when it's about to come on and you have to get
Yeah.
yourself in certain positions to not like fall
Yeah.
over.
That's pretty typical, actually, with narcoleptics. A lot of them can, especially with those that experience cataplexy, because not everyone does, but they can sort of feel when that starts to happen. So he, I think there are some moments where he starts to feel it and he gets in like a safe position and then just like nothing happens and he's like...
It almost feels euphoric to a degree.
Yeah.
It's revelatory. And again, it's similar to the times you've taken LSD in the past.
It's like this connecting to something more than yourself in like a very odd way.
Yes. As per the mechanics, I need you to roll me a 1d4 to come off of a bond. That's a 3.
I think I will take it off of his best friend because his best friend Yukime Clark, because I think there is a level of like, well, now I need to lie to the people in my life, or I have to figure out this story, which it's not that he's unaccustomed to lying, but obviously it can strain a relationship, even if it's not malicious, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if people who are used to you having narcoleptic episodes are around you and then suddenly you don't have any.
Right, he can say he's on a new treatment, but he will always know that he's not being fully honest. And he's already not being fully honest with anybody in his life. So it's another kind of hint to that.
Okay. So there's still a lot left in this tiny little bottle. And using it how you did, hard to say how long it could last you, but it could last you probably a couple months.
He takes like meticulous notes of how his experiences with it over the course of like always. Like I think he has like a designated notebook that at this point he is now keeping on him for these notes in particular.
The thing of it is that you know that given what you went through in Kansas, you know how dangerous it can be having been on an actual operation now. You know how dangerous it can be for that to kick in. You almost felt your brain shut down when you saw Spencer Dixon try to control his transformation as he got shot off the bull. You let it go. You saw a man swimming under the ground. And that's not something that a person should be able to do. I mean, you already know that there's weird, strange things that you have dealt with in your work, and you're not exactly above board yourself.
No, but he definitely, you know, something about Kimble is that he believes in control and power. He assumes that most people are deluded, assumes that most unnatural beings are malleable, and assumes he is mostly in control of himself. And I think with this medication, he now feels even more certain in his self-control. But the experience with Dixon definitely rattled him a little bit, but I think he still was like, well, Dixon was kind of human and we dealt with it easily. So he's definitely got a sort of like naive sense of stability, which we'll see how that serves him.
Raise your unnatural skill by 3 points, by the way.
I did. It's up to a 9 now.
I think that is actually a good place to leave off of.